Hello students. So now in today's lesson we are going to take up the two female characters, Elizen Porter and Helena. Elizen Porter, she is Jimmy's wife and is the most elusive personality to catch in the uneasy polyphony of these three people, Cliff, Jimmy and herself. So these three people, they live together in a one-room apartment in London. She is turned in a different key, a key of well-bred malice that is often drowned in the robust orchestration of the other two. She is roughly the same age as the men, near about 25 years of age. So all three are 25 years of age. Somehow their combined physical oddity makes her beauty more striking than it really is. She is tall, slim and dark. The bones of her face are long and delicate. There is a surprising reservation about her eyes, which are so large and deep they should make equivocation impossible. Elizen Porter is a subsidiary character in Look Back in Anger, whereas her husband Jimmy Porter, he holds the center stage. It is not she but her husband who throws into the past a maleficent gaze, but it is her endurance, her futile endeavor to escape and a final breakdown which are the truly moving parts of the play. Osborne also comes in the end to feel this himself, and it is to Elizen when at last she makes her heartbroken, groveling, yet peace-securing submission to whom the final speech is given to by Osborne in the play, whereas he is more sympathetic towards Jimmy. Hers is in its way a kind of victory, and because it's a kind of victory, it releases the spirit instead of depressing it. To know when to give up the struggle, to realize when the battle no longer counts, this also is a sort of triumph. That is, when and where to stop. If one knows this, this is also a kind of triumph, and this is where Elizen wins. There is a poignant moment during the second act when Elizen desperately cries, "I want a little peace." It is peace that she gets at the end, as Raskolnikov, the Dostoevskian hero in Crime and Punishment, gets when he ceases to maintain himself innocent. Jimmy has married above himself, apparently out of spite against middle-class respectability. So Elizen, she comes from the middle class, whereas Jimmy is from the working class. So there is a kind of a disparity or class disparity between the two. His wife he lashes at with verbal fury that is often witty and always cruel. It is not, however, resentment that is personified as much as self-pity, and this causes the sympathy, which the author intends to be withdrawn. When his wife left him, it seems she was fortunate. When she returned to him in the end, a broken spirit, were we intended to cheer? But we know that she has borne and lost a baby, that is, she has suffered. Now she may understand him better. So now that she also knows what suffering is, she is equal with Jimmy. Both are on equal footing now, and both are in a position to understand what suffering is, and that's why they would be in a better position to understand each other. In the real life, someone would surely have punched this self-pitying egoist on the nose and would have gone home to her mother before the very start of the play. So this would have been a normal reaction on the part of a person who would encounter such a self-pitying egoist like Jimmy in real life. But Elizen doesn't do this. So but that would have deprived, if this would have been the case, this would have deprived Jimmy of impressing us with his long tirades, which we enjoy and appreciate. in the play. So Elizan, she stands, we see her constantly standing for what seems for whole days, the whole day long. She seems to be standing at the ironing board, smoothing trousers, shirts, ties, while Jimmy insults her in phrases of passionate bitterness which are edged with a frustrated love. His complaints against her are endless. She still has tried to keep some of her friends, and these are the various complaints that he has against her, that she still maintains, or she still is in touch with some of her friends. She still clutches round her the rags of her social smartness. She still writes letters to her mother. She cannot be goaded into speech. Howsoever Jimmy insults her or rakes at her, she doesn't respond. She is fighting a long delayed battle against adoption into his way of life, as though she had not a tongue in her head. So the endless tirade goes on, while Cliff Levy tries ineffectively to defend the battered, punched, browbeaten and trampled on girl that Elizan is, who says nothing and does nothing in reply but goes on ironing with a look of blanched sorrow on her face, which is white and exhausted, as if after 100 sleepless nights, tormented by 100 sleepless headaches. There is a part of Elizan's mind which resists Jimmy's ways. If Jimmy is savage to her, it is because he doubts her commitment to him and his values. So he feels that she is not fully committed to him and she has diversions, and also she doesn't value his value system. Dyson says about her, she has never given herself to her husband with the honesty which she knows he demands of her, and he also needs it. In the end, Jimmy and Elizan, they play the game of bears and squirrels, which is an escape into dumb, uncomplicated animal affection in a cozy zoo for two. A silly symphony for people who couldn't bear the pain of being human beings any longer. Human beings are seen being human when they accept the horror of and futility of life. To be more precise, Jimmy exerts himself to draw Elizan into a communion of the lost. He wishes her to have a child and then to lose it in order that she becomes a recognizable human being. A human being who has faced some kind of suffering. Elizan on her part likes and admires Jimmy. Heyman says that Elizan speaks of Jimmy behind his back exactly as he would like to be spoken of. Mary McCarthy says of her and Helena, his women appear, so to speak, wearing his colors. That is, in some way or the other, they love him and they appreciate him. Both girls, while they are his, are seen wearing one of his old shirts over their regular clothes. The very fact that a few months after deserting Jimmy, Elizan finally comes back confirms that she loves him in spite of all the misery and the anguish of the relationship. So the other female character who appears in the love triangle is Helena Hughes. Helena is of the same age as Elizan. She is medium height, carefully and expensively dressed. Now and then again, when she allows her rather judicial expression of alertness to soften, she is very attractive. Her sense of matriarchal authority makes most men who meet her anxious, not only to please but impress. So they try to impress her as if she were the gracious representative of visiting royalty. In her case, the royalty of that middle class womanhood, which is so eminently secure in its divine rights that it can afford to tolerate the parliament and reasonably free assembly of its menfolk. Even from other young women like Elizan, she receives her due of respect and admiration. So she has an imposing kind of a personality. In Jimmy, as one would expect, she arouses all the rabble-rousing instincts of his spirit. And she is not accustomed to having to defend herself against catcalls. She offers to slap Jimmy when provoked by his insults. However, the actual slap after Elizan's departure results in a prolonged erotic relationship with Jimmy. Even as Jimmy's mistress, she retorts angrily whenever he ruffles her. Banham writes about her, Helena, attracted to Jimmy more physically perhaps than emotionally as Elizan is, and that's why she copes better than did Elizan. The answer to the question as to why does Helena fall for Jimmy in spite of a marked antagonism for him seems to be in her tremendous fascination for a man who hates her so intensely. She says about Jimmy, I have never seen such hatred in someone's eyes before. It's slightly horrifying and oddly exciting, and that's why she falls into love with Jimmy. She is also seen as envying Elizan's domestic life. So in some way she takes it as a challenge, making Jimmy fall in love with her, and also she is envious of Elizan's domestic life. Despite Jimmy's tortures, she says she sees that Elizan in her own way loves him deeply, and Helena seems jealous of this marital bliss that Elizan enjoys, and she goes out of her way to break this marriage. Pretending to be Elizan's genuine well-wisher, she tells her, listen to me, you have got to fight or get out. Otherwise he will kill you. After Elizan leaves the house, she takes over the charge as Jimmy's mistress. Only after Elizan's final return, she decides to leave Jimmy as the result of her feeling of guilt that she had wronged Elizan by assuming her place. And she tells Elizan that you are his wife, aren't you? Whatever I have done, I have never been able to forget that fact. And then you have more right to be here than I. But this feeling of guilt seems to be the impulse of the moment, because all this time that she has been living there in the house with Jimmy, she has not realized this fact, or rather she has ignored the fact. Only after Elizan comes back, she feels she has been unfair to her friend, has hurt her, and she must quit. E.G. Bierhaus Jr. in his article No World of Its Own, Look Back in Anger 20 years later, finds no trace of any consistency in Helena's character, especially in her behavior towards Jimmy, and feels that Helena is a series of poses, a personified self-contradiction. Helena, we see, initially she emerges as Jimmy's perfect antithesis. She, as a prim and proper representative of the English middle class, she stands in contrast to the unconventional Jimmy. She is the church-going type. She is in sympathy with church bells. A morally fastidious woman she is. She is a perfect friend to Elizan. She plays the upright visitor who loathes her host Jimmy. She hates him. And then when his wife leaves him, we see suddenly she becomes his mistress. One moment she is smacking his face in fury, the very next moment we see that to our great astonishment they are locked together in embrace, in love. After Elizon's exit from their place, Jimmy turns out to be settled fairly happily with Helena, as far as he can be happy with anyone, partly it seems because she stands up to him rather more, because she retaliates whenever he lashes at her. Like most bullies in sexual situations, Jimmy appears basically just to want bullying back, and this is what she does to him. And partly because he is bound to her by nothing more complicated than lust. It is not, however, Helena who finally reduces him, but Elizon, to whom he is married, who returns after losing her baby. Helena's views about Jimmy and people of his sort are worth noticing. There's no place for people like that any longer, in sex, in politics, or anything of the sort. That's why he's so futile. Sometimes when I listen to him, I feel he thinks he's still in the middle of French Revolution, and that's where he ought to be, of course. That is, he is far behind his times. He doesn't know where he is or where he is going. He'll never do anything, and he will never amount to anything. When Helena wants to extract herself from the painful situation after Elizon's return, Jimmy dismisses her with. So Jimmy, initially he disapproves of her leaving the house, and then he says it's no good trying to fool yourself about love. You can't fall into it like a soft job without dirtying up your hands. So it takes muscle and guts. So if you love me, if you want to stay back, it needs strength on your part. And if you can't bear the thought of messing up your nice clean soul, you'd better give up the whole idea of life and become a saint. So you don't need to think about whether it's good on your part or whether it's bad on your part. When you are in love, you need to be in love and you need to enjoy it, because you'll never make it as a human being. It's either this world or the next. So if you think about whether it is fair on your part what you are doing, then you will not be in a position to enjoy love in this life. But somehow Helena leaves the scene and the bells toll, and this seems to be an assertion of traditional values, which are once again set in with the return of the wife Elizon and the mistress Helena leaving the house. Thank you so much.